a 3-2, and and it's like, and after that, I think they have set a really strong precedent. So tell me, what do you want to see this time around?
What do I want to see? I want to see more of that wicked awesome Ixen on Nautilus. I would be so surprised if you were able to get it, though. But we are in picks and bans. As you can see, it looks like Poppy Nidalee are the same. Jax, next one would be Kha'Zix. But no, it's LeBlanc banned away.
Goodbye, LeBlanc. Banning out an entire strategy of picking LeBlanc and just owning them with it. Oh, and they have left the Kha'Zix up on the table. They've taken out LeBlanc and Nautilus, and this is something that I love that teams do. When you play a lot of, whether it's collegiate or some of the tournaments we have, competitive league, it's very easy to say, well, we don't want to give them Kha'Zix, we don't want to give them the things they're good at, right? Well, they just showed you they're good at more than a couple things, right? So saying, let's isolate what we thought were the two biggest problems, take them away, and watch what happens. Oh, and it looks like they might be countering with a Kha'Zix.
Ooh, very exciting to see if that gets locked in.
Now, it'll be interesting because, and these guys usually have a lot of accounts. They've got a lot of experience. Kha'Zix is not a new champion by any means, but not really anywhere on the radar for Nexavis this year. To be fair, Kha'Zix wasn't on many people's radar, but really picked up towards the end of the season, and then now with the update, it's gotten a lot of popularity. So I think this might be taunting them as well. If they don't lock it in, I think they're saying, hey, Rhubarbs, you show us what you got.
Yeah. Step it up a little bit. So, again, the Jax banned away for Ixen. He's played almost 1,000 games on Jax in Season 6.
They just do not want to deal with it.
They just don't even want to see that at all. Funnily enough, the Kha'Zix, with the taunt, as you just mentioned, Rhubarbs has played 830 games on Kha'Zix. So we'll see if he goes for it. As right now, Maokai is locked in for a rune, and once again, Bacon Seeker takes that Alistar.
This Katarina could be very real. I don't want to talk about all the things they've been practicing because, who knows who might be watching at home, but Katarina is definitely one of them. Julius has been going pretty out of his way to pick up some more eccentric picks. Rhubarb not taking the bait, which, does make me sad.
Yeah.
But, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Yeah. They're very much in the same way. They did not take the Jhin this time. I think that might be a response to Maokai, who poses a little bit more of a threat. If you are kind of that immobile carry,
click snare on
right?
The back line.
Versus Trundle, who you can lock up and kind of keep away from you. But interesting though, Arun, Maokai is not in his most played, but it is an Ixen Creels, and I think they've just seen how powerful he is on tanks. So I think this might be their idea to say, well, we banned your Jax, we banned your Nautilus, and we'll take your Maokai. And we'll say, maybe you have to play on something that isn't a tank, but given this guy's Jax and Aurelia stats, I think he's comfortable there too. So, kind of emerging as a star of this game.
Yeah, it really does come down to the adaptation. And this is something that Ohio State said that they needed to really focus on. The fact that they have to come into this with multiple strategies. 2 seconds left.
Oh,
and
baby.
Vayne, Vi locked in.
The VVs. Vayne is so powerful right now, you guys. There were some changes that was made to how her tumble interacts with crit. A lot of the people who built a ton of armor pen, now lethality, kind of moved away from that. Fervor, some of the things that made it really hard to trade in lane, not the greatest for marksman right now. And so Vayne has risen to the top once more, especially now that people are kind of using this static Shiv Infinity Edge burst build. And Pustoy is definitely going to try to show off here. But as well, I want to point out with Maokai and with Vi, they're basically taking the characters, the similar strategy they had last time, which is like, let's get a bunch of tanky dudes who can kind of combo on top of each other.
Yeah.
But they are much more focused on a single target this time.
Yeah, especially with that Vayne locking the target down. Once you get the 3 hit, they're either dead or they've got 4 people on top of them, so they're dead anyways.
Yeah. Vayne single target, Vi single target. Maokai single target, and I think this is an awesome response if they do go here with the Victor Maokai, or Malphite rather. Malphite is a tricky one against Vayne. If you're not on top of her, it's hard to ever get on top of her. But if you are a Vayne and you have been hit with the unstoppable force, there is no coming back. You're slowed, your attack speed slowed, and she is so dependent on that attack speed because of the nature of Silverbolt. So, Michigan not swapping up much. I was excited to see the Cat, but the Victor going back to kind of his roots here a little bit, and I'm sure Ixen will be just as tanky. We're going to need to see something powerful out of Peridot this game. Echo, I don't think will cut it.
Yeah.
He could still pick an Assassin, something to go with the ultimate pick comp that they have here, but it needs to be a little more flexible. He needs to be able to play both engage and kind of disengage as well.
Yeah, well, 10 seconds left on the clock for that final pick, saving that mid lane counter pick to deal with the victor. You talked about how great Orianna would be, but it looks like, oh, the face laser.
Ooh.
This Death Star is fully operational.
Thank you for your contribution. I have to say, Vel'Koz is like, it's hard because it's like the old sneaky thing. If everyone says sneaky's underrated, if if everyone says Smithy's underrated, are they underrated?
Yeah.
Vel'Koz is that character. It's like anytime there's a really strong champion in the meta, when it was Azir, Vel'Koz is right up there like, hey, sup, I'm here to counter you, so just chill for a little bit. Especially, he had an update with the mages about 6 months ago.
Yep.
And a lot of that has to deal with how powerful his ultimate can be by itself.
Yes.
If you land the combos, huge damage. But sometimes he can just train it right on you, and that can make these dudes like Victor really hard to deal with, right? Victor wants to live in the mid-range. Vel'Koz is like, I'm cool with it.
Perfect. Sit right there in the middle of my laser beam.
Yeah.
And soak the damage. And what better way to kill an unkillable tank than true damage?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And I think in that regard, Ohio State shown that they know how to fire back. They have really kind of, I feel like this was a perfect trap, right? We'll ban one tank. We'll take the tank we know you're most comfortable on, kind of hope that you go over to the other tank. They even laid out the, Vi Vayne bait. Yeah. They're like, oh, no, what if someone picked a lot of armor? This would be awful. And then true damage, right? And so, now I think Julius might be kicking himself. He would have loved to have that Katarina on such a squishy target, but we'll have to see how it goes out. OSU's draft this time significantly improved.
Yeah, it's still going to come down, I think, a lot to the execution for these teams. There's still a lot of tank on both teams, some strong pick, and most importantly, the thing I'm most excited about is outplay potential. The fact to see someone say, hey, I'm Vayne, it's 40 minutes in, you're never going to kill me.
Yeah, I mean, Vayne is one of the all-time greats to watch if you're talking about pro play. God, I hate Vayne when I have to play against her, but when I don't, play it all the time, man.
Exactly.
I will love to sit here and watch.
When there's a Vayne on your team and it's like, wow, you came out of laning phase without giving any kills? Okay, right. I like where this is going.
There's another interesting thing, though, that I want to point out. It's a little subtle, but Pistoy going on Ezreal. I mean, we knew that he, I'm sorry, Value going on Ezreal, taking it away from Pistoy, right? Mm-hmm. I think we understand pretty well that they did not want to take Jhin into that, and with the other two picks that came out, you really don't want to pick Jhin. I think that's a good call. Going for Ezreal, though, it's always been hard for me to judge the value of an Ezreal unless you're super aggressive and you're really able to take off in that mid game. And so now they have an AD carry who's kind of agnostic, not super great in the all-in fights, not bad at it. And then you have a team on OSU that is incredibly specialized. Yeah. Right? And so I think that may be one of the picks where they were trying to... I think they had thought a different kind of team was going to come out, and now that they have the Ezreal, it could make the difference in some late-game fights, especially when you're comparing to Vayne. Yeah. Going to be really hard to live up to.
With that amount of damage. In answer, though, I mean, Michigan, they're still feeling pretty good about themselves. They've got the Malphite for engage if they want to go for a team fight. Victor, so strong right now. I mean, mages in general strong, but Victor, I think, has risen significantly more. Plus, they've got the very safe AD carry. If he gets caught, he's going to pop back. You've got Karma for more mobility. It's still a very well-rounded composition.
Definitely. Karma, Victor, and Rhubarb's Elise are definitely the core of this comp for me. They are going to make or break a lot of fights. My worry is that when you compare Nautilus to Malphite, right? So first, we talked about true damage, both in Vayne and in Vel'Koz, actually. So that's quite a bit of true damage going around. Vi shreds the armor. I think he's going to be a little more vulnerable. When you engage and you get your combo off well, it's going to look so good. And people are going to be like, why did the casters talk about Malphite? That's so bad. But he is going to place himself in the middle of the enemy team in a spot where we don't really want him to be, in all that true damage, where a lot of what Ixencriel was doing was staying right up next to his carries and soaking so much damage and standing in front of skill shots. Malphite can't play both sides of the field at once, and he's going to be giving up some value either way.
Yeah, and that's where it comes down to the skill of these players. Do they have what it takes to adapt in this match and show us, hey, we've got a slightly different team comp. We're going to do things a little bit differently. I mean, game number 1, they really took off because of those roams from Julius in the mid lane on that LeBlanc. Victor, little bit slower moving around this time.
Does have the ghost though. You know,
he does.
Yeah, I think Michigan has got to be riding high coming into this game. You know, I don't think they expected to win by that margin. They've got to be feeling really good. But I think they may have. I don't think you want to go all out on the hype. You know, I don't think you want to feel yourself too hard, but I feel like they may have pulled back a little bit. And so this is definitely an exposure for OSU to take advantage of.
We'll see if the opportunity presents itself or if Michigan will take it to a 2-0 lead. We have now loaded onto the Rift, as you can see, for game number 2 between University of Michigan and Ohio State University. Defensive lines once again. Interestingly enough, one Deeg actually heading up towards the top side. Chill with Ixen Creel. He's like, hey, you were tanking like crazy last time. I'm sticking with you.
Yeah, looks like they might be going in for a little bit of an invader's vision. Something interesting, though, is I thought they picked Vel'Koz, but the character that is in the mid lane right now is definitely not Vel'Koz.
Oh, yeah, that's curious.
I wonder what the
interesting
move. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know, who knows? It's preseason. Pretty wild. So we'll have to see how it's going to go.
I was legitimately so confused. The icon is right there. He's even on the minimap. You can see the icon. You got me.
Yeah. So now Carbon's recalling doesn't look like it's going to cost them much. You know, Krugs and Gromp and all that spawn later. To a significant enough degree that, you know, people aren't really doing them as much, especially if you're Krugs. You know, you don't want to like kill the Krugs and then leave like the whole Krug family. And your jungler's like, well, I gotta clean this up. What did you do? Come on.
There's not even a broom in this side of the jungle. How do you get these rocks out of here?
So that's what we need to do in the next patch, include brooms.
Oh obviously. Yeah, there it is. Of course. Yeah. But with that, Leash now given over from the top lane. It's again a double blue start. Nexavis saving that smite just a little bit, kites it out rather well, gets level 2 right away, and immediately invades the other side of the jungle. There's a ward on the red buff right now. Rhubarbs is heading over to his wolf camp. He's about to get his buff stolen.
Oh yeah, there's the vault breaker over the wall. Breaking in, stealing your red. Still has smite too.
Yeah, he's going to be able to heal up quite a bit off of this red buff if he even decides to use his smite. There he goes.
Yeah, I think you want to go for it for the security,
and
especially
take a look.
Considering how
Value and one Deeg are putting pressure now in that bottom lane. There's no ward being placed just yet.
Yeah, I think it's hard for Vi to feel like she wants to go for the gank until you have E, the excessive force, you know, because that's going to be what's going to allow you to proc your stuff. Oh, and Rhubarbs, womp womp.
Feeling sad.
Yeah, it's okay. Elise is still going to be able to catch up a lot in the jungle in this XP, but one thing that is important to note in the last game between Nexavis and Rhubarbs is despite Rhubarb's success at finding a lot of ganks, he was still trailing Nexavis in experience quite a lot during the time, which I will say as a Babby jungler, I get so tilted every time I'm like, I'm winning! How is that person 2 levels ahead of me? You know, and Nexavis seems to have a grip on kind of that black magic, and we'll have to see if he can now, with the buff, you know, gonna take advantage of it.
Now, with that double buff, going to be clearing out a little bit. It actually kind of reminds me a little bit of the Devourer jungle. Like, hey, I got 4 ganks off, 2 kills, and 3 summoner spells. It's great. And then Master Yi shows up with Devourer, and he's still stronger than everything.
Yeah, man, all of Michigan pushing up quite a lot. And I think, you know, you can kind of afford to do that with Vi. You know Vi's not going to be coming for you, but if you are the Vi, you always have to play that game of, well, maybe they aren't expecting me, and maybe I can make a level 4, level 5 game instead of waiting for the right moment.
For now, Nexavis going to continue farming up. There goes the smite. Rhubarb's looking for his own level 4 on ye old Scuttle Crab. Oh, that just seems painful.
I love the Krug party.
Yeah.
It's cute. Yeah. If you use the excessive force, you'll be all right.
Yeah, what do you do when while you're waiting for Krugs to split? I usually like to brew myself a cup of tea.
So I play jungle Akali, and her cooldown gets reset when you kill stuff with her E. So you just murder the Krugs.
I see.
Uh-oh, Peridot is in a bad spot. Is he going to be able to flash?
Flashes early, but dodges the cocoon. Still eats a lot of damage, but survives with his life.
And that, you know, does not pull a Jensen there. You know, definitely flashes at the right time. That said, Rhubarb showing the mark of a strong Elise player, uses the Q first. Sometimes people get so spooked, right, that they'll flash in a predictable pattern. But Peridot, presence of mind, goes for it again. He's able to make it. things are getting pretty dicey here.
Yeah.
You know, Nexus already ahead in experience.
Baiting. He's trying to sneak around the side.
Oh, they are going to...
Junglers in the face. That's not a good place for Elise to be. Tries to make it to the Gromp. That's a flash. But Rhubarb gets over and will escape.
So, you know, hindsight's 50-50. It would have been sweet to see Nexus smite the Gromp to wake it up and aggro it and then flash after. But either way, you know, it's a similar trade that we kind of saw in the beginning of last game, right? You see some flashes burn, but the action isn't happening just yet. That said, Nexus is saying this is not going to be like last game.
Value. Getting the buffered arcane shift to escape from Bacon Seeker. Doesn't even waste his pulverize. Because he knows, he's seen that play before.
Man, I would just wait for him. Just get him again.
And Peridot in the mid lane gets a ward onto the Raptor camp as Value tries to trade with Pustoy. So far, it's still very even. This time, 300 gold Value. Again, buffers that almost perfectly to escape from the
not
condemn.
get slammed into the wall.
Yeah.
I think I just noticed a neat interaction with Alistar and Courage of the Colossus. Even though he didn't actually end up comboing Ezreal, Headbutt triggered the shield, so he was able to walk out unscathed, which I think is actually pretty neat. You know, Courage of the Colossus seems pretty powerful right now as a mastery, but even when balanced, I think that's going to be a go-to for a lot of these characters, because it really evokes a certain playstyle that I think Bacon Seeker's been showing off.
Yeah. Go in, knock people up, try to disrupt as much as possible. He did get the full stun off with the new Triumph stacks.
Yeah,
or the Trample stacks, excuse me.
Yeah, it's all about, I think, being proactive with Alistar. You can't just sit there anymore and wait. Level 6.
Oh, boy.
Someone's about to make some rhubarb pie. Let's go.
Oh, not even
Doesn't even use it.
First blood with a quick 1, 2, 3, and now immediately you can see Michigan retreating under their turret. But you already said it. Nexus is level 6. Not going to look for a dive, though. Not enough minions. Plus, a little bit risky.
Warning. Just get out of there. This is the part in the horror movie where you're like, they're up the stairs. Don't go in the brush.
Don't go up the stairs. Oh. Okay, whoa. Managed to get the tether. Nexus is actually split right now, and he did just use Vault Breaker. Here's Bacon Seeker. They try to burst down. Peridot roams and gets the kill. Ixencreel is snared.
Oh,
that is a cancel TP, and he gets away from the unstoppable force. OSU just outplayed the heck out of Michigan.
Victor, looks like he's here, but he's going to have to run away. That is a hero play for Maroon. That immediate flash to dodge the unstoppable force.
Yeah.
Right? You know, you didn't react to that. You predicted that, and he made a great call. If he had gotten that wrong, Ixencreel would have still been able to get right on top of him, make something happen. And then this teleports right in and just fights his way through. But Ixencreel,
yeah, with less stats, does more damage, and Arun comes out worse for wear. He's going to try to heal this up as he already goes through all 3 of his corrupting potion charges immediately after getting back into lane, and Ixencreel is doing a great job right now keeping Arun locked down. Now Rhubarb's, the ward just expired. Rhubarb's is on his way up there, and Arun used his flash.
Ixencreel's going to recall or kill him, right? Like, this is not a great spot for you to be in.
Oh, Courage of the Colossus comes up.
You don't want to go for that.
Time.
Maokai's passive is so deceptively powerful that I don't think it's the one that you want to go for there. However, Ixencreel doing a really smart thing. Oh, we're waiting for it. Actually, yeah, we're going to head right back in here. So the Vault Breaker is on cooldown, so 1D feels like it's okay for him to come through, but they did not know Peridot was coming. Value even uses his heal and just explodes right there. And here it is again. Oh, no, we're going away. Whatever. Well, it was sick. Maybe we'll get it for the next time.
You have to take our word for it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Anyone flash dodging Malphite ult, usually super awesome. So, you know, let's look at Julius here for a second, right? Constantly getting shoved in. Wasn't able to really make an impact on that first play. And is only even in farm, but still behind in gold because of the contribution, right? You know, I want to say Julius impressed me last game. I think he's going to need to impress everyone at home if he's going to make this Victor pick work out. Now, strong character, for sure, right? But you have a Vi who was 8 before you.
Yeah.
You know, so people are going to need to know that this is going to be able to work out. Ixencreel fighting in the minion wave, going to take a lot of damage, well, relative terms.
Yeah, trying to soak it up.
From Arun here.
He's the tanky fella, used to that sort of engage. Meanwhile, Nexus once again invades, going for that hammer right away. Might be looking to add a third kill to his tally.
And it's funny because they did this last game. There was so much focus top lane, and it didn't end up working out for them, but this time it might.
There they go. That's the knockup.
Unstoppable Force is there.
Gets one, flashes, and escapes with his life.
It's such a difficult situation to be in, I think. To take nothing away from Nexus' amazing plays, but when you use your Q on Vi and it doesn't hit, and you immediately ult, the amount of damage you're actually contributing is super low, right? You know, you need those concussive blow stacks, and so there's a thought here that's like, oh, I just walk up, I hit him, then I ult, but then maybe that doesn't give you that. So I don't know. Tough way to play it. Peridot, though, oh my god, he might just get deleted.
Chunk down to half. He ghosts, still has his flash, though. That's repel. Ooh, Rhubarb dodges the knockup and forces Peridot's flash.
Double flash, too, there. That was, and that's one of those things where if you're Peridot, you know the best case situation is you blow both summoners and Lil. Oh, and he gets his candy taken, too.
Nexus is just owning this game right now. Up in CS, so far involved in all of the kills in the game, and Peridot now trying to catch some of these minions as Julius is looking for the advantage by shoving in the mid lane. And now we'll actually possibly try roaming bottom. He's down in the river right now. Value in 1D, farming up. Still relatively even between those AD carries. No big upsets just yet.
Yeah, significant lead for OSU. And I think this is a little more their speed, right? This is the kind of game that they were looking to have. And they need to make sure that they don't relax, right? They have the proactive champions. They have the ways that they're going to make this turn out. That said, Peridot now under fire. You know, no summoners in a lane where Victor loves to just put Chaos Storm right on top of you. Ixen rock slapping around a room in the top lane. And so I'm thinking that this mid game might be a little closer than it seems with both junglers heading into the top lane.
Yeah, you can see Rhubarb's now waiting in the tri-bush. That's level 9 on Nexus. He's 2 levels
He's higher than his top laner.
Holy cow. That is a strong jungler. Was spotted out by the control ward, but Rhubarb's did not see it. Oh, and neither did Ixen. Still continuing to press up, though. Peridot actually feinted towards that top side of the map, and now he's invading with Nexus. They might be hoping for an optimistic pick onto one very squishy spider. Flash over the wall. That's the ultimate repel. There is still the, there it is. Chain slam and dunk. OSU are 3-0.
Oh, but it doesn't look like it's over yet. Oh,
Ixen
gets right out of there.
Regret.
I think I want to call out Peridot in that play for having some great predictive skills, right? You know, there's technically a way for Rhubarb's to make it out of there once he falls, but the Q was already on the way. He knew exactly where it was going to go, and I think that shows the kind of coordination experience that this team has playing together that I think we were really looking for. So it seems like, oops, a little bit. Yeah, he didn't want to go over there anyways. He wanted to use the blast cone. I didn't want to do that either.
Drop a ward.
Anyways, the point is, they are really here to play. They have the gold lead to make it happen. And they are going to keep picking on Rhubarb's to me.
Yeah, they're trying to do it again. Peridot is down there. They're at the Raptor camp right now.
They're just here. Where did that guy come from?
Oh, Rhubarb's. No, don't show yourself. Peridot is there now. They're right around the other side. They've actually managed to find Julius. Peridot, trying to feint it out, but there's Nexus.
They don't know!
Rhubarb takes the hit. He unfortunately will cancel one auto attack.
Yeah.
Spamming just a little bit too much.
Might have actually cost the kill. It's hard to know. But there is a ward on this now, but I don't think they can do anything. You know, bot lane would have to roll up, and I think Pistoy and Bacon Seeker are doing a great job of keeping them pinned down underneath that turret.
Yeah, that's
level 10 now.
Nearly 25 minions ahead. In the jungle, 2 levels up. Here comes 1D and Value, but that's not a lot of mana on Value.
Does this look similar to you?
Yeah, I feel like I've seen this happen before. That's Flash now being used as they chase forward. Pistoy actually ults and goes very aggressive for some damage. Looks like he is going for that crit Vi build. But they might instead just focus on trying to take this first turret. Rhubarb's heads on down to try to catch it. Here's Peridot and Julius.
Oh, he's got the ward right here. I think he's going to try and catch out Victor.
And there he goes. That's the laser.
Oh my god.
1, 2, 3, and you have been identified.
Yeah, thank you for your contribution. It is all over for him. And so, you know, the same way. Whoa, whoa. Looks like we might have a little bit more action right now.
Yeah, they're diving now.
Oh,
Rhuvarb's
he
taking
got
so
the double
much damage. Looking for more. Nexavis, goes down, finally submits the kill streak. Value gets back in, but forced to flash. Pustoy chases. He's still got his own. Bacon Seeker can't get any CC in the top lane. Ixengril's teleport was canceled again. And Arun is trying to bully him down right now. It's Sunfire versus Spectre's Cowl. And Ixencriel forced to ult over the wall. This is not looking good for Michigan right now. OSU have completely flipped this matchup over as the first turret is taken. It's 6 kills to 1, 15 minutes in, and OSU are dominating this.
Yeah. We're just gonna look at the deletion. Yeah. There it is. But I think if this continues on to let us watch what happens in the bot lane, and I mean that's just when you get fully researched, right? That's gonna happen. Here, I want to point out something. We don't think of Vi as an AoE champion, right, because of her ultimate. But look, she manages to hit both of them with that and with the excessive force, and that is not insignificant, right? They managed to get the exhaust off, but it's already over by then. Still getting a little hit, and Value doesn't even get the kill, which I think is where you really wanted that one to go if you had the option. But still, you know, I want to bring something up, Dom, while it looks like they're kind of resetting for their next round of murder.
Yep.
And that's, you know, talking about our keys of the game, OSU said they need to swap up their strategy.
Yeah.
Right? You know, they got hard countered in the first game. And if you look now, this is completely different. These are very many different champions. Oh, and here comes the aggression.
Julius tries to turn it around, looking for a kill onto Peridot. And that's going to be the laser. Julius able to walk out of it just fine as Rhuvarbs comes to help him out. And once again, 80's swapped to the other side of the map.
It's like we just flipped the map, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, they're doing the same thing up here. But Ixencriel still ahead on experience that can be quite annoying to deal with because tanks have so much base damage they have to contend with. He's kind of running him out of mana here a little bit, but they're probably going to be fine. Bacon Seeker threatening something very aggressive.
Nexavis over the wall, but the turret is still standing. Don't know if they know that Nexavis is in there. He's charging it up. Oh, Nexavis does a lot of damage to 1D. There's the Assault and Battery. Forced to flash away, but he's still alive. Not able to get the assassination. So yeah, to follow up on what you were saying, you were talking about the fact that OSU need to show that they have multiple strategies that they can change on the fly. Funnily enough, one of the things that they said was their weaknesses was that they rely too much on their jungler. It seems like maybe they should take that out of the weakness column and move it into the strength column, at least for this game.
Right. Well, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Right. It's you have Zach, who is such a powerful champion, but he's really the guy who tries to pass the ball.
Yeah.
Right. And there wasn't really enough people to catch it that time. You know, Vi, you know, here we're starting to see, I don't want to say her damage fall up. Ooh, hold that thought. Peridot is going to come in. The ghost comes out.
He's got no flash.
Wiggle, wiggle.
Rhuvarbs is trying to give it over, but Rhuvarbs tosses the ball of webbing.
Yeah. Have a little flower.
Yeah.
You know, have it go out. But you know, I think this game, right, you know, we're starting to see Vi have a little less of an impact, not going for the hyper damage build, though she will be a threat this entire game, but actually manages to say, hey, Vel'Koz, come get this one. Vayne, come get this one. And they're populating out these kills. And so I think, you know, it's fair to say that Nexavis was a weakness in the last game, despite playing well, because they didn't manage to get him on a champion to let him, you know, spread the wealth. But this time he's doing that amazingly.
2, 1, and 3 involved in 5 out of his team's 6 kills. He put the other 2 onto Peridot and Pustoy, exactly who you want that gold to be on.
A perfect distribution.
Yeah.
Speaking of perfect distribution, Ixencriel and Arun, 0-0-0, baby.
Yeah.
That's the top lane life.
So taking a look at the gold right now, it's a 1,000 gold lead for Peridot. What looks like a 1,400 gold lead for Pustoy. And even the support getting a 400 gold lead as well. Maybe another 2,700 gold for Nexavis. So a lot of that gold is still on Nexavis. And don't worry about the top laners. We're not going to see them for another 10, 15 minutes at least. Probably not.
Yeah. But it's actually interesting, you know, Dom, tell me, how do you think the game is going to change when you do see them? Right? well, because you know, we've been fighting with all of these squishy champions.
Yeah.
You know, crashing into one another. Yeah, I'll start making some fights happen. Oh, maybe getting a little too dangerous right here.
Yeah, trying to break down that turret, but not that many minions.
Yeah, but how do you see this game changing when they get involved, which they might do right now? This is, this is a little close to home.
Yeah, I feel like Michigan are looking for more established battle lines. We want to keep our tank in front, distracting as much as we can, keep the divers from OSU out. Is Nexus just going to solo that? Okay, all right.
They had no vision. That was super clean take.
2, 1, and 3 Vi with a lot of gold. Now they're trying to collapse onto Ixencriel, and there goes Bacon Seeker. Power.
Whoa, you are not getting away, buddy.
Assault battery to chase onto Ixencriel. Black Cleaver going to be doing work here.
Got the Falcon Punch.
Oh, man. 1D tries to get there in time, but cannot. Meanwhile, pressure in the mid lane from University of Michigan. They have elected into this trade, but the laser is ready. Is Peridot going to go for it? Flash Cocoon misses. Peridot has got the go button. That's Repel. Gets the knockup and solo kills Rhubarbs. University of Michigan are looking desperate.
That was an immediate tectonic disruption, and I loved that because Elites can either stay up for 2 seconds or 1 second, depending on if she picks her target or not.
Whoa,
Bacon Seeker.
that's the knockup. Courage of the Colossus keeps him alive. Oh my goodness, Bacon Seeker.
That was Courage of the Colossus and Face of the Mountain, I believe. He double shield. He sucked it in on that one. He was ready.
Yes, he did.
You know, that got really scary. Speaking of really scary, Vayne has her crit build online. That is the burst damage. You can crit on Tumble. You can crit on the Static Shiv proc. If she tumbles out of stealth with the final hour active and hits you with that thing, your health could be gone.
Yes. And there are a lot of very squishy champions on Michigan. And the one person who isn't squishy has now just been picked off by the Ohio State University. So now, seems like fans in Columbus probably feeling pretty good about how this game is going. And the fact that odds are, looking at how this particular game is going, might be going to a game 4.
You always love to see the long
assault
one
battery
right there. And you actually get to see a little bit of Alistar's new ability, right? You see the chains go out and just gets the long range attack. Flash in on the Maokai. You know, excessive maybe, but they knew they wanted to get it done.
Yeah.
If this extends, I think this play is so cool. This is Vel'Koz is a character that requires you to really plan in advance what you're going to do. And if you look, the moment it goes up, he knew where it was coming down.
Oh, man. Tectonic disruption into laser to the face. I think Alderaan at least didn't know that it was coming.
Yeah, that was... Yeah, it is worse to see the Vel'Koz and know that it's going to happen to you. But this is, you know, the gold lead is continuing to balloon. It's about 6,000, right? Yeah. You know, it's getting up there. And this is the kind of gold lead where, you know, if you're the team that's down or you're rooting for the team that's down, you want to be like, oh, well, they're not out of it. It's only 6,000. But that is a very teetering 6,000, right? Yes. Because the next fight, turrets are going to go down. Everything starts to fall. That said, right around this time, we saw OSU in a very similar position last game, and they managed to dig themselves out of the hole a little bit with a great play from Peridot. So we are still at a position where one of these members or a coordinated strike can take out someone like a Peridot or maybe a Nexavis and try to blow the hole open for them to say, like, hey, let's go in and maybe take a dragon. But they are everywhere they need to be right now.
Yeah. Looks like right now OSU doing the exact same thing Michigan was doing in game number 1. Peridot has got his flash. Might be trying to bait Ixencriel in. There's Rhubarbs. Julius is up there too. OSU fall back.
Yeah, they did see Peridot on a ward. I don't know that they have vision on Kustoy, but you know, when you have such a lack of vision at this stage in the game and all your wards are defensive, you know, yeah, look at it right there. They don't even know if Baron's being started. They don't know where anything is. They know that's going to be there, but when you have Vayne, they could have been on Baron the whole time.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot going on that they don't know, and so you have to play like they could be anywhere.
And the scary thing is, currently, OSU can be anywhere, and that anywhere is
they are right there
on top of Julius. They managed to get the full combo across. He does not stand a chance. Peridot ghosts to try to get an assist, but cannot. Now, 5 versus 4. They've got vision on this side of the jungle. Minion wave being prepped in the mid lane.
Yeah, they are not getting into this mid lane whatsoever. Unlikely that they're going to go for Baron. They still have a good team for it, but I think, you know, last game's Baron dance did not work out well for the team that initiated it, and I think they're going to have to be careful here. Ooh, where's Elise going to drop? Is Arun going to be able to finish it? Oh, no!
For the kill, shielded up, and Arun taking a lot, tries to heal himself up. 200, 100, still alive, but finally drops to value. Bacon Seeker with the knockup, flashes over the wall, and Kustoy forced to escape at low health, so he wasn't able to finish off that turret. And Michigan hold on by the skin of their teeth.
really close to making that a 1 for 0, but Rhubarb walks just too close, and the Void Rift finishes him off. Still 1 for 1. I guess 2 for 1 if you count the Julius, are exactly the kinds of things you want in this situation. But going back to that Julius pick, Nexus feel like, oh no, he doesn't want to go out. There's only one way for him. This could be a mistake, though.
Yeah, he's got no flash.
Malphite does have
blast
ult.
cone, gets knocked up. Bacon Seeker follows up. Pustoy shows up. They're going to try to kill this Vayne right now. She's got flash and heal, but doesn't get the chance to use it. And Bacon Seeker has already hopped the wall. Value chases him down with that Iceborne Gauntlet. Not a chance. And just like that, Michigan are right back into this. Only 4,500 gold behind now.
This is the methodical play that Michigan wanted. Right? They were doing such a good job of staying patient, and even though they put themselves in a position for Julius to get picked off, they are doing a better job of reacting, and now they are going to go make sure they get some of this vision. But Paradox!
Laser shut down, gets the solo kill onto Value.
The mid laners in these series, man, they have been taking off. The flash forward on Vel'Koz. That is a very, very dangerous thing.
It's not like he's a very mobile champion either. Oh boy. So here's a replay of that last fight, actually. Nexus tries to get a little bit too greedy.
Yeah, definitely goes in. Doesn't end up getting the blast cone or anything. Pustoy says, maybe this is a good time. Nope, nope, nope. Bad time. Bad time for sure. And they are going to be able to grab a Bacon Seeker on top of that. And this is a thing where OSU is not being methodical, right? You know, that's what University of Michigan is. You could see it. Everyone who's ever played a solo queue game as or with Vi knows that moment where she charges the queue, she's ready to go out, and she just went back in. And so, you know, it's a recoverable loss. It's not a huge deal, but it very much could be, right? You know, if you make that in a more pivotal location, if you make that when the turret's, you know, one of the bottom side is pretty close to going down, they're prepping a minion wave for it right now, that can teeter that gold lead we were talking about, which is tentative right now.
There is still a lot of opportunity for Michigan to try to get back in. Value completing now the finished Muramana, looking for the Blade of the Ruined King as well. Julius going to give us quite a long time to finish off those Krugs. Paradox tries to catch up, doesn't get the follow-up laser. Tectonic Disruption is flashed. Julius will survive, but only just.
I will say I love that Ghost has entered the mid lane specifically because when Vel'Koz ghosts, he gets so wiggly, right? When you hear the sound that he's like, oh, where are you going? And as you saw, flashing underneath his tier 2 turret, that's where he's going. Yeah, I mean, maybe a fight happening. Creel ends up just barely getting his passive shield taken off. Armor is shredded, but he does have quite a lot of it.
I think Nexus right now is just trying to be a bully in this game. 28 minutes in, he's 3-2-4, not quite as impactful in the mid game as he was in the early game. And now that Michigan feeling a little bit more emboldened by this previous fight, they're starting to push back with some vision of their own. You can see they've got wards on their blue side of the jungle. Not too much vision on that bottom side as there is a minion wave pushing into both top and bot lane. Yeah,
they're keeping it stable, and that is kind of what they want. They would like to go a little harder, OSU. You know, they would like to, but I think with the Vi build, I don't think it's incorrect, but she got a Banshee's Veil and she's going for more health, right? And I think you have to understand that your raw base damage or kind of the early AD purchases are not really going to stack up as well as you want them to as you continue. But now they are turning on to Baron with a very aggressive play.
I feel like we've seen this before, but coming around from the other direction. Ixencriel shows up. Pustoy's already at half health. Ixencriel is looking for it. Julius from outside of vision misses the laser, but that's the Chaos Storm. Pustoy flashes, still alive, knocked up. Can they shut down the Vi? They can. That's Vayne dead. Now Julius is going to be bullied upon by the rest of OSU. They collapse, but Value is getting so much damage. Arun trying to turn it around.
Paradox is on the side.
Looking for an opening.
He's running for the laser.
Laser is not going to do enough to kill them as University of Michigan split off. Finally, they go down. One Deke is going to survive with Ixencriel, but for how long? Nexus shuts it down. That is the ace for OSU.
Yeah, and they're going to turn right on top of Baron. It was a risky Baron, right? And the risk certainly did not look like it was about to pay off. Pustoy ended up tumbling back into the laser and had to flash into his own team and still ended up going down. But they do not have an answer for Vel'Koz. I was about to talk about it when the fight started, but Nexavis, okay, we'll throw some CC down to the feet. Sounds fine. Vayne, we've got this Malphite character, seems pretty good.
Yeah.
But they are not able to get onto Vel'Koz in any meaningful way, and you're kind of in this damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. So we'll watch it right here, right? Pistoy's kind of in the spot. Not great. Julius goes in and says, this is going to be great for me. That's where I want to be. Nexavis clicks on him, right? A lot of damage is coming out. It looks like things might end up being okay for UFM, but Peridot lurking on the sides, and right as Value starts to make his presence known, Peridot realizes it's time. Haroon helps set him up, and they just go, and they do not stop. Rhubarbs as well has a little bit of an awkward flash. You just want to get out of the laser, but you win into the Baron pit, he aggroes it, and Baron kind of assists and ends up taking him down. Malphite has to ask, am I going to ult Vayne or am I going to ult Vel'Koz? And at this point, with the item set that he has and how slippery he can be, there's no guarantee that you'll kill the Vel'Koz if you get right on top of him either.
Is certainly a challenge, as University of Michigan are now down 11,000 gold, and OSU are currently more ahead now than they have ever been. Looking for a pick onto Peridot, and they find it. What a beautiful gem.
Yeah, okay. I was talking about the decision between ulting Vayne or Vel'Koz. I think he found that one pretty easy.
Yeah.
That one I think worked out well for him. And that I think is going to happen. Peridot, even while struggling last game, had the moments of brilliance and a little bit of the oops, and I think you see a little bit of the ladder there. But, we talked about the gold lead, which was at about 6,000. Now almost 12,000. Yeah. Right? Coming up on it right here. And that is how, when the battle lines get drawn, how quickly everything can kind of topple over. You start collecting killing sprees, you start collecting Barons, objectives, everything like that, and it is looking dire for U of M, but they are still fighting.
Well, it looks like we might see another fight coming up in the next 40 seconds or so. 32 minutes in, OSU lead 4 turrets to 0. Michigan hasn't toppled a single one, but Dragon is up in 30 seconds, and that is an Ocean Drake. Not super vital, but definitely going to be helpful for a team eating some damage over the course of some of these fights and prepping for some of them as well. It's the Baron buffed up team of OSU might be showing some pressure in that bottom lane. They still have Baron buff for what looks like maybe another minute or so.
Neither team left their wave clear at home this time.
Yes.
Victor and Vel'Koz both, something about the V characters this game.
Yeah.
But lots of wave clear present there. Nexavis has built Locket and a Banshee's Veil and is now comfortable bullying around like you were saying, and it looks like just a show of force to get this bottom lane turret as it now hits 12,000 between the teams.
With Bacon Seeker faking the flank, he was able to scare enough of Michigan away to break down the turret. Damage over the side to help bring down that Dragon True Shot Barrage. Does not steal it, but spots it out. And Baron about to fall off on most of these characters. We'll see if they have the mastery in just a second. As Bacon Seeker tries to rush in. Got Flash and the full combo, but that would be very optimistic with Ixen Creel right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to make sure that, Pistoy or Peridot are there to back you up. Still similar style to what we were talking about last game. You have a bunch of people who set you up, and you have a bunch of people who kind of dunk it in, right? And they're doing a good job of just slowly playing through right now. They had a little bit of a phase in the mid-game where they weren't sure how they wanted to play the game and got hurt for it. But Nexavis knows how he wants to play this game.
Yeah,
and he might have just found it on top of Julius.
There's the redemption right on top of them. That's going to help University of Michigan out just a bit, but Nexavis gets some damage over the wall. Bacon Seeker so tanky. Ixen Creel still in front. Might he finally die as he's knocked up, flashes the wall, and survives. Pustoy cannot finish it off, but they will get the tier 2.
Ixen Creel could not ult almost that entire fight. You saw Pustoy looked a little like, do I want to go in? Popped the final hour, not really tumbling, and then they locked him down so hard that it got to a point where, hey, if I ult, I don't even know if it's going to do anything, and it might kill me, right? So he ends up having to flash. That cuts their initiation potential so much, and they get a turret for it. I was willing to criticize Nexavis's play towards the mid-game, but the early game and now at closing this out have been so fantastic. I think this dude is my player of the game.
Nexavis putting on a very strong showing. 5-2-4. We'll see if he can try to expand that score any more as we're getting now towards the 35-minute into this game. OSU continuing to chip away at Michigan's defenses, and Michigan group up as 5 down the mid lane, finally trying to break down this middle tier 1 turret.
Gotta be careful. Gotta make sure that the you don't get hit by any of the Vel'Koz damage, whether it's the Ludens or the Q or the W or anything like that. But I will say, Michigan are proving themselves to be fighters. I think if you watch a lot of esports, you hear it a lot that you have to play to win, not play to not lose, things like that. And who win down by this much? And they can feel it in game how much they're far behind. Groups up at 5 is like, let's go take that thing. We could die, but let's go take it, right? Because that is the kind of game that they very much want to play.
Demonstrating the patience of a very well-coordinated team. OSU setting up a bait rather unsuccessfully as they are on top of a ward, and they don't even get the chance to clear it out. Tragedy. Baron's up in 60 seconds. There's a lot of vision left over for Michigan, while the remaining while 4 members of Michigan went mid for the tier 1. 1D went towards Baron to start prepping for the next advantage. Now with teleport up on Ixen he's shoving bottom, so it's showing that Michigan are aware of their objectives and how to play around them.
Yeah. Little trivia there for you. The reason they didn't kill that ward is specifically because they had Vel'Koz on their team. Really? Vel'Koz's basic attack does not have a projectile. It has a longer wind-up time than most things, but then it connects instantly. And so most champions would just be able to wind up their attack and have it complete. He did not.
I see.
But it also means, if you didn't know, that he can basic attack through wind wall. Because it's not a projectile. Wow. You can just kind of zap him. I mean, I don't know why you would, but you can.
Well, say if you get 3 stacks, but then he tosses up the wind wall and you can't toss out any more abilities. Yeah, you can refresh the cooldown.
Yeah. So just a little interesting interaction there. I think they may. No, they still didn't end up clearing it. So, good outplay on the Vel'Koz pick there by Michigan by placing wards.
Nexavis might be looking for rhubarbs here. There's a teleport. Ixen is very far forward. That's a rune. Good cocoon. Can Ixen make it over the wall? He does get over with the unstoppable force, but Paradox doing some damage. That's a true damage laser, and Ixen doesn't stand a chance. Dunked into the ground. Redemption isn't going to do anything as a rune flashes onto Julius. And OSU might be looking to end the game right here and right now. Bustoy and Paradox chase forward. 1D shields to stay alive through that auto attack from Paradox. Value looking for the huge skill play. Cocoon finds Paradox. That's going to be a chase on the Value. He's knocked up, and Bustoy gets the final kill onto Rhubarbs. Value is running out of mana. And like that, it's 3 kills for OSU.
That was a beautiful headbutt pull, right? That's one of those where you're like, oh, we can keep fighting. But I think I want to highlight Julius here, and I want to highlight the Victor pick because, we talked about in Champ Select, mid-range does not handle well against the long range. And he walks up to end up hitting both Vi and Vel'Koz. They present themselves as juicy targets, and now you're in range of Maokai's rune, right? And now you get exploded. So this Baron not going to be difficult by any means. Yeah. And they are going to recall. There was a thought that maybe, sometimes you don't want to go spend the gold because there's an opportunity cost.
Yeah. So here's a replay of that fight as they try to catch Ixen.
The true damage here, man, is so strong, and that is exactly what they baited them in from minute 1 with the comp. They knew they wanted to go for this. And Julius just kind of getting obliterated right here. And the other thing I have to say, these team fights, dude, they play out very much kind of like an older traditional League of Legends. You have your tanks, you have your damage dealers, everyone's positioning in the right way. We're getting some really good interactive fights, but especially Courage of the Colossus is allowing these tanks to suddenly have a significant amount of health, right? Bacon Seeker got chunked out by Ixen right at the very beginning of that game. Engages, has Face the Mountain, and Courage of the Colossus is now big again, right? And so very scary to play these fights, right? You have to make sure you're using your damage at the right time. You're not letting it go to waste.
Yeah. Speaking of scary, OSU are looking for the Elder Dragon.
They got 4 Drake Elder, I think.
Yeah. So that's actually their 4th. So that was 3, which comes out to 9135 plus an additional.
He's doing all the math.
Yeah. So I think it's 180 true damage.
Yeah.
For every single thing that they hit.
Yeah, this Elder Dragon is a truckload. of damage for sure, and is going to serve them well. When you get Baron and Elder, it's like the forbidden one, right?
Yeah.
It's like I summon Exodia, my poor little turret. No, Bacon Seeker.
Oh, he's so tanky though. Double redemption, standing in the Venn diagram. Which one is mine?
And unredeemed.
Yes. In the middle of the Venn diagram. Does it cancel itself out?
I just wonder, it's like, what's the neutral case for redemption? Oh, no.
Oh, that's a laser, Julius. Whoa, is able to get the kill on Bacon Seeker. He stayed a little bit too long trying to get those Triumph stacks.
Nexus going on top of Value.
Onto Value. He makes it out with that Arcane Shift. Pustoi trying to kite it around. That's the Chaos Storm doing a lot, but the shield will keep them alive as the second inhibitor of the game, excuse me, the first inhibitor of the game will fall.
Vane's tumble run is one of the funniest things.
The crouch.
She's
yeah.
like, it's like, hey,
it's
really just hit something with tumble.
Yeah.
It's basically, it lasts so long.
Yeah.
It's so goofy, but oh man, that's a hard L to take right there. You're able to kill Bacon Seeker. It feels like it's going pretty well, and then Vel'Koz just at a certain point saying, screw it. I have Elder Drake. I know exactly how much damage that this R plus all the little Luden procs are going to be able to do, and you just kind of show up, flex your eye laser muscles, and they have to walk off.
I always find it a question of, I wonder if this laser will actually, oh yeah, it will.
Yeah, yeah, you're like, oh! That was the thing. When we were making this character, I was testing him a lot, and we were like, hey, so it's got to do a lot of damage. Yeah, okay, so what's the... It can't just kill them, right? Like you're like, I just pressed my button and he died. And we're like, well, yeah, but he stood at it, Yeah, I think
the counterplay is getting hit. Don't get hit.
The counterplay is don't be down 15,000 gold.
Oh, well, yeah,
in the first place. Speaking of which,
I wonder if my laser.
Oh!
Whoa, Peridot. That's not even nice. They managed to catch Value as well, and OSU dive under the inhibitor turret. 1T trying to run away, and University of Michigan make it forward. They are able to get the kill onto Pustoi, eating a stray bit of damage there. Julius trying to clean up Arun, but he is so tanky. Shielded up by 1T, and Arun might have overextended. Goes back in, heals up, but it's not enough. Bacon Seeker is too late.
Survive?
Ixenkreel is still standing there, and Julius is doing it. He's still alive. A double kill. Oh my God, Ixenkreel will live as well. Peridot is so slow. Value dodges, and finally it's a laser and goes down. 2 for 3, and Michigan are still alive.
I'm not mad at all about Value just walking into the ocean right there. He's like, look, he it's hard for me to even say that he dodged the Nexavis punch, rather than Nexavis thought that he was dealing with the man that had something to lose. Value is just, that's the most baller walk I think I've ever seen. But no, here, really amazing job by Michigan to kind of save what seems like it's a dead fight. Look at Pustoi, walks in to the gravity well, gets hit by
the Chaos Storm
and the little Q pop over from Victor. And over here, this is Arun trying to manage his sap magic while Karma's shield and Julius's shield and everyone's lifesteal is trying to work against him. He was seeking the bacon in the incorrect place. Ixenkreel flash, and then look at this.
The minions are even attacking him. Oh my
Tell me with a straight face this is a dodge. Right? That's just, the ocean is kind.
He was committed.
Take me, God.
Walking with open arms. So, down 16,000 gold. Michigan take a fight and actually come out relatively even and are able to keep the inhibitor alive. OSU right back at it. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. University of Michigan are going to deserve a lot more than that. So, this is the inhibitor now going down. 2 have dropped. Julius is for some reason dead. That is not a great thing.
Yeah, same, actually. Yes. Yeah, it is not a great thing. Man, OSU walking around like they just own the place, and you know, they really do.
So this must be Julius getting caught. Oh my God.
And that reminds me of when like the whole world had never seen Denivia played like once, and Froggen was like, oh, here's how you do it. He would throw out his Q and E at the same time, knowing the Q is gonna hit. Oh, 1D is getting exploded here, maybe?
Relatively tanky though. Drops down the redemption on himself and heals plus the shield. No flash, though. Drops the exhaust. Ixencriel tries to get it. They are committed to this. Nextavix goes forward, and Julius lines them up in the corridor. The AoE is dropped, but there's Paradox. He's got the laser, but he's out of range. Backs up too far, and flashes forward to look for the follow-up. He's trying to get one, and Value doesn't make it over the wall. Knocked up and locked up. There's another redemption. Oh, Rhubarb survives. Bustoy flashes. Oh, barely gets away from the laser. Oh my god, the skill shots are so close.
I didn't even want to say anything because my mouth was just open the whole time. I was like, oh, are they going to do it? Are they not going to do it? I was like, he's not on that team. We're just walking up and getting it, man. I don't know.
They've got the banner minion now. It's 4 versus 3. Rhubarb is going to have to try to clear it out as one inhibitor respawns. Julius races back in. 1D tries to keep him empowered. Julius is slow. They engage onto him. What a shot from Peridot. Able to get the kill and the inhibitor. 1D is going to die. That's a cocoon to buy 1D time. As Bustoy, he was trying to bait that out, but will finally fall. That's the
This isn't where I parked my Vayne.
Exactly.
What are you talking about?
The Nexus itself will fall in. OSU are taking game number 2 against Michigan.
Julius carries the first game with a 13-1-6 score. Paradox says, I can do that, and goes 13-2-6 this time to crush him. You know, high score may be set, but right now it's 1-1.